Mr. Johnson was not just any man. He was an elderly black CEO, a man who had built an empire from nothing. His face showed years of hard work and wisdom. Today he stepped into one of the most exclusive airport lounges in the city. The room was quiet, filled with the soft hum of conversations and the clinking of glasses. He moved slowly but confidently, dressed in a neat dark suit, carrying only a small leather briefcase. His presence was calm and quiet, yet it held the power of experience and success. He walked to the bar and took out a sleek black card from his wallet. It was no ordinary card. This black card was a symbol of his status, a key that opened doors to privileges few could imagine. The bartender gave a polite nod, ready to serve. Mr. Johnson ordered a simple glass of water and a cup of coffee. Nearby, a group of young businessmen sat in leather chairs, laughing loudly. They noticed Mr. Johnson's card and exchanged quick glances. One of them whispered to his friend, "Look at him, using that black card. Does he even belong here?" They laughed quietly but clearly enough to be heard. Their eyes showed disbelief, mixed with mockery. They thought Mr. Johnson did not fit their world. Their judgments were loud and cruel. One of the businessmen, wearing an expensive watch and a flashy suit, openly smirked and said, "I doubt he can even afford to pay for his coffee with that card." Mr. Johnson heard the whispers. He did not respond. His face stayed calm, almost unreadable. But inside, a small fire burned. He was no stranger to such disrespect. For years, he had faced similar looks and comments, but today he would show them something they would never forget. Suddenly, a flight attendant approached Mr. Johnson. She was young and polite, but her eyes showed a hint of doubt. "Sir," she said, "this lounge is only for first-class passengers and card holders with special privileges. Can I see your card again?" Mr. Johnson smiled softly and held out his black card. "Here it is," he said calmly. She took the card, examined it quickly, then looked back at him with a cold expression. "I'm sorry, sir. This card is not enough. We need a special pass from the airline." Some of the businessmen overheard this and laughed louder. "See, I told you, he doesn't belong here." Mr. Johnson's lips pressed into a thin line. He knew the truth. No matter what the card said, some people judged him by his skin color, not his achievements. But he would not give them the satisfaction of anger or argument. Instead, he took out his phone and quietly dialed a number. Nobody could hear what he said, but the atmosphere in the lounge changed. The businessman stopped laughing and stared at him with curiosity and a little fear. A few minutes passed. Mr. Johnson stayed calm, sipping his coffee. The flight attendant came back with a supervisor. The supervisor was older and looked more serious. "Sir," the supervisor said, "we have checked your card and your ticket. You are allowed here. Please enjoy the lounge." The businessmen's faces changed. Some looked embarrassed, others angry. They had made a mistake. But the damage was already done. Mr. Johnson had not even raised his voice, yet his one phone call had changed everything. Mr. Johnson stood up quietly and walked toward the seating area. He chose a chair by the window, looking out calmly. His eyes were sharp, watching the reactions of those around him. The young businessmen avoided his gaze now. The whispers stopped, but Mr. Johnson knew this was only the beginning. The real challenge was yet to come. He touched his phone again, ready for the next move. The black card was more than just plastic. It was a key to his power and his story. As he settled in, a soft smile appeared on his lips. He had shown respect, patience, and confidence. And now the world would soon learn to respect him too. After, the supervisor confirmed Mr. Johnson's access to the lounge. The atmosphere in the room shifted noticeably. The group of young businessmen who had laughed and mocked him now sat quietly, their faces mixed with embarrassment and confusion. They kept stealing glances at Mr. Johnson, unsure of what to say or do next. Mr. Johnson remained calm and collected. He did not want to make a scene. He knew that real power was shown by actions, not words. He quietly took a seat near the window, his back straight and eyes steady. Around him, the sounds of the airport and the lounge continued. The soft chatter, footsteps, and the clinking of glasses. As he sat, his phone vibrated gently in his pocket. He pulled it out and glanced at the screen. It was a message from his assistant, confirming an important meeting scheduled later that day. Mr. Johnson's face stayed calm, but his mind was already working on the next steps. He looked around the lounge. The businessmen were now whispering among themselves. One of them, the loudest and most arrogant, leaned toward his friend and said, "Who is this man? He must have some serious connections. I wonder what kind of company he runs." A young woman sitting nearby overheard the comment. She was a flight attendant, but not the one who had first questioned Mr. Johnson. She smiled softly to herself. She had seen many successful people in this lounge, but Mr. Johnson's quiet confidence stood out. There was something different about him, not just his money or status, but the way he carried himself. Suddenly, Mr. Johnson's phone rang. The ringtone was calm and professional. He answered immediately, his voice low but firm. Mr. Johnson speaking. "Sir, this is Karen from corporate headquarters. We have a situation here. There has been a misunderstanding at the lounge, and some of the staff were not informed about your status. They apologize for the inconvenience. Also, we just received news about a $3.4 billion deal that requires your immediate attention." Mr. Johnson listened carefully. He nodded, even though Karen could not see him. "Understood. I will handle it," he said. He ended the call and looked up. His eyes met those of the young businessman again. This time, there was no fear or respect, only silence. Mr. Johnson knew that his next move would make them understand his true power. The flight attendant who had doubted him earlier approached once more. This time, her tone was different, respectful, but cautious. "Mr. Johnson, I want to apologize for earlier. We did not know who you were." Mr. Johnson smiled gently. "It is not your fault. Sometimes people judge too quickly. But I hope this is a lesson for all of us, to see beyond what is obvious." She nodded, clearly moved by his words. Suddenly, the lounge manager appeared. He was a serious man, carrying a tablet with detailed information. "Mr. Johnson," he said, "the deal you are involved in is one of the largest our company has ever seen. We will support you fully." Mr. Johnson stood up, ready to leave the lounge. Before he walked away, he spoke to everyone present, his voice calm but powerful. "To those who doubted me, I say this: success is not about where you sit or what card you hold. It is about the work you do and the respect you earn. I hope one day you will see that." With that, he left the lounge, his briefcase in hand, and a quiet confidence that filled the room long after he was gone. Outside, his phone buzzed again. It was time for the call that would change everything. He took a deep breath, knowing that the $3.4 billion deal was not just business. It was a chance to prove that respect and power come from strength of character, not from appearances. After leaving the lounge, Mr. Johnson felt the weight of the day ahead. The $3.4 billion deal was huge, not just for his company, but for many people depending on its success. He walked confidently through the airport, surrounded by the usual buzz of travelers and announcements. Yet his mind was focused. He reached the private jet waiting to take him to the corporate headquarters. As he settled into the seat, his phone buzzed again. It was a reminder. The meeting was starting soon. At the headquarters, the boardroom was already full. Executives and partners sat around a long, polished table. Some looked skeptical when they saw Mr. Johnson enter. Not everyone believed an elderly black man could lead such a massive deal. Mr. Johnson greeted everyone politely, shaking hands firmly. He placed his briefcase on the table and opened it to reveal detailed documents and digital files on his tablet. The lead negotiator, a sharp woman named Ms. Carter, began the meeting. She looked at Mr. Johnson, clearly trying to gauge his abilities. "Mr. Johnson, this deal is complex. It will change the industry, but it requires strong leadership and trust. Are you prepared?" Mr. Johnson smiled calmly. "I am ready. I have worked on this for months. Let's begin." The room fell silent as Mr. Johnson presented his plan. His words were clear and confident. He explained the benefits, the risks, and the strategy to protect the company's interests. Slowly, Faces in the room started to change from doubt to interest. Suddenly, a young executive interrupted, his voice sharp and mocking. "Are you sure this plan will work? Sounds risky, especially coming from someone who looks like you." The room gasped. Everyone turned to see Mr. Johnson's reaction. He looked at the young man quietly, then said, "Success is not about looks. It is about knowledge and action. I have led this company through many challenges. This plan will succeed because it is strong and carefully prepared." Ms. Carter nodded in agreement, her eyes showing respect. Mr. Johnson continued the presentation, answering questions with patience and expertise. He showed charts, numbers, and projections. By the end, the room was fully engaged. After the meeting, some executives approached Mr. Johnson privately. One said, "I was wrong to judge you. Your plan is impressive." Another added, "You have earned my respect. This deal will change everything." As Mr. Johnson left the boardroom, he received a call. The news of the $3.4 billion deal spread quickly. Headlines flashed on screens everywhere. Elderly CEO secures massive deal. Underdog triumphs over doubters, and Mr. Johnson proves everyone wrong. But not everyone was happy. As Mr. Johnson prepared for a press conference, he knew this was more than just business. It was a test of his character and resilience. The media room buzzed with reporters, cameras, and microphones. Questions flew fast and sharp. One reporter asked, "Mr. Johnson, how did you handle the mockery over your black card at the airport lounge? Did it affect your confidence?" Mr. Johnson smiled gently. "Respect and confidence come from within. The opinions of a few do not define me or my work. I believe in proving oneself through actions, not words." Another reporter pushed. "Some critics say this deal is too risky. What would you say to them?" He looked steady and replied, "Great success often comes with great risk. We have planned carefully and believe in this project's potential to create positive change." The room was silent for a moment, then erupted in applause. But outside, social media was a storm of mixed reactions. Some celebrated Mr. Johnson's victory. Supporters shared stories of overcoming prejudice and fighting stereotypes. Others criticized, spreading rumors and doubts. Mr. Johnson watched it all calmly, knowing the battle was not just about business, but about respect and equality. Meanwhile, the young businessmen from the airport lounge saw the headlines. Their faces changed from mocking to regret. They realized they had judged him too quickly. One of them whispered to a friend, "We were wrong. He's not just a CEO, he's a man who commands respect." At home, Mr. Johnson sat with his family. They talked about the day's events, proud but cautious. His daughter said softly, "Dad, you showed them all. You didn't just win a deal, you changed minds." Mr. Johnson nodded, knowing the journey was far from over. But for now, he had made a powerful statement. Success is earned by character, courage, and wisdom. Days after the deal and the press conference, things started to change. Mr. Johnson noticed strange calls on his phone. Numbers he didn't recognize. Messages that seemed like warnings. At first he ignored them, focusing on work. But one evening, his assistant came rushing in. "Sir, the company's security system detected a breach. Someone tried to hack into our files." Mr. Johnson's face hardened. "They want to stop us, but we won't back down." The deal was worth billions. Powerful people who felt threatened by Mr. Johnson's success might try to sabotage him. The next day, as Mr. Johnson entered the office, he was met with cold stares from some board members. Whispers filled the air. He knew the resistance was growing. Still, Mr. Johnson stayed calm and focused. He called a private meeting with his closest team. "We must protect our company and our deal," he said. "We will strengthen security, watch our moves carefully, and be ready for anything." His team agreed, inspired by his calm leadership. Meanwhile, the young businessmen from the lounge tried to reach out to Mr. Johnson. They wanted to apologize but didn't know how. One of them, Mark, finally sent a message. "Mr. Johnson, I was wrong. Can we meet?" Mr. Johnson thought for a moment. Then, he replied, "Come to my office tomorrow, we will talk." Mark was nervous but hopeful. This meeting could change everything. That night, Mr. Johnson looked out his window, thinking about the challenges ahead. He knew winning the deal was only the beginning. The real fight for respect and fairness was just starting. The next morning, Mr. Johnson's office was calm but tense. Mark, the young businessman from the airport lounge, arrived looking uneasy. His usual confident smile was gone. Mr. Johnson welcomed him with a calm nod. "Please, have a seat." Mark sat down, hands trembling slightly. "Mr. Johnson, I want to apologize. At the airport lounge, we judged you unfairly. I was wrong to laugh and mock you. I see now how strong and respected you truly are, Mr." Johnson looked at him quietly, then said, "Thank you for your honesty, Mark. It takes courage to admit a mistake." Mark nodded, relieved. "I want to help. I think there are people trying to sabotage your deal. I have contacts who can assist with security and investigations." Mr. Johnson's eyes sharpened. "That is welcome. We must work together to protect what we have built." They spent hours discussing plans, sharing information, and building a strategy to face the threats ahead. Word spread among the board and staff that Mr. Johnson was forming new alliances, even with former critics. Meanwhile, the young businessmen who mocked him started to respect him deeply. They realized how much they had misunderstood not just the man, but the meaning of success. At home, Mr. Johnson's daughter smiled, seeing her father gaining strength not just through money or power, but through respect and unity. As the sun set, Mr. Johnson felt hope. This fight was no longer his alone. Together they could face any challenge, but in the shadows, some enemies were still watching, waiting for their moment. The tension had been high for weeks. Mr. Johnson and his team worked tirelessly to secure the deal and protect the company. The threats kept coming, but their defenses grew stronger. One morning, news arrived that the hackers had been caught, traced back to rivals trying to sabotage the deal. The company's security team, with help from Mark's contacts, had stopped them just in time. At the board meeting, Mr. Johnson stood confidently before everyone. "This company is more than just business. It is a symbol of respect, perseverance, and unity," he said. "Together, we faced challenges and proved our strength." The board members, once skeptical, applauded. Even the harshest critics nodded in approval. Outside, the media was buzzing. Stories celebrated Mr. Johnson's courage and leadership. People everywhere were inspired by his journey, from mockery to triumph. Mr. Johnson's daughter stood proudly beside him at a community event where he spoke about hope and fairness. "Never let anyone's judgment stop you from reaching your dreams," he told the crowd. "True success is earned by character and courage." The young businessman from the lounge watched from the audience. Now fully respectful, Mark approached Mr. Johnson and said, "Thank you for giving me a chance to learn and grow." Mr. Johnson smiled warmly. "Everyone deserves that chance." As the sun set on a new chapter, Mr. Johnson knew his journey was far from over. But now he had the respect he deserved, not just as a CEO, but as a man who stood tall against prejudice and won. And for the first time in a long while, he felt peace.